What's up, everybody? I'm Erika from Beyond the Color, and I just wanted to say happy holidays. So today on my episode, I am going to be doing an interview with LeRon Carlton from the Columbus Saints. So the interview went so well that I had to put it into 3 different episodes. Yes, you heard me right. I said 3. So the first episode, we are going to focus in on who exactly is LeRon and who is the Columbus Saints, where are they from, and all that little jazz like that. So I'm so excited to get started and get you guys involved in this interview and just show you guys everything. So without further ado, here we go. So just to start off, just can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
So my name's LeRon Carlton. I am originally from Ashtabula County, Ohio. My second home is Washington, D.C. Kind of split my time between both. I am an IT infrastructure engineer, cloud engineer, and mobility engineer by trade. Formerly, I was a professional musician. I was performed with numerous gospel choirs, gospel artists, and then I was a member of the Army Band for about 9 years. Service in Iraq, Japan.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah. Georgia, Texas, all over. And then I came to Ohio. And since I've been in Ohio, I've taught band at Kent Roosevelt High School in Kent, Ohio. I'm currently on staff at Mount Vernon High School this is year 9. Just work with a lot of local schools. And my day job was I worked for a Fortune 500 retailer here in Columbus as an engineer. I've been the director of the Columbus Saints. I've been the executive director for 4 years now.
Okay.
I was the assistant director for 2, and then I was just operations for the first year and a half.
So can you tell me a little bit about the Columbus Saints?
Yeah, so the Columbus Saints were started in 2003 by Mr. Marshall Cheatham. He's our CEO.
Okay.
He was a social worker, substitute teacher. Grew up on the west side of Chicago. He marched in a pre-DCI drum and bugle corps called the St. Andrews Hornets.
Okay.
This is back when drum corps were community. Chicago had like 30 different corps. They had
Right.
block to block. And so his corps was very unique. It was sponsored by a veteran named Major Adams, who essentially wanted to get all the kids in the projects, the Henry Horner projects, to have an opportunity to march and compete. This is American Legion, CYO, VFW stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Really unique about that group is the Marcus and Berdine White that founded Earth, Wind, and Fire. They grew up in the same projects. They were involved in the group. So there's a bunch of other people that have come through that program that have gone out west to become professional artists who
that's amazing. So it's like a growing group.
Yeah. So the group folded. I think it was like 74. And Mr. Cheatham went on to play football at Vanderbilt, and then I graduated from Tennessee State. So the movie Drumline came out in 2002, and for his thing, he was seeing kids. They wanted to do something, and he just thought like, there's nothing like I had in Chicago.
Right.
So he'll tell you the story.
Return a favor.
Yeah, that's basically what he did. So he bought some buckets and some drumsticks from Columbus Pro Percussion, and then put the word out. And there were 6 kids on a picnic table, and they just started playing.
Wow, that's amazing.
As time went on, we were a very large independent HBCU style drumline and drill team. We traveled to St. Louis, Atlanta, Washington, D.C.,
Yeah, that's what I definitely think is very cool about the Columbus Saints, is because it started off as being an HBCU drumline. I think that's very unique. And then, especially to what it is today, it's like a full, drum and bugle corps. And it is, the name is different, correct, now?
Yeah.
Than what it was? Yeah, so and of course, there's things that are different now, but it's just so cool to look back into, certain history of, different drum corps, or just different, color guards, anything, and just to see, where you guys started from. You're telling me that, you started off, you guys started off being drumline, on some buckets and some sticks, that's amazing. I marched at AMP World Winter Guard, and it's when we have our history night, it's always so cool to me. And so I just love hearing the story about how the beginning, about how where they were practicing in a water tower, where it literally was just a bunch of kids in Camden, just family members, just amazing to see where it started off to what it is today, So I definitely think that's definitely something that pointed out to me. I was like, wow, this was a HBCU drum line. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. What's interesting about it is we kind of say it's our history, but it's actually living history.
Right.
So the name has changed slightly. We went from Saints Drumline Inc. to Columbus Saints. Mr. Cheatham, we talked about it, and we wanted to evoke that old school, back where you would rep who you were in your name, right? It was St. Andrews Hornets or Chicago Hornets. It was the Rosemont Cavaliers. It was the Canton Bluecoats. You repped where you're from.
Right.
Back in New Jersey, it was Spirit of Newark. When they were out, it was Cadets of New York City. So you repped where you were from, and so that's one of the reasons why we rebranded. But there's a lot of things that we do from a history perspective that are living history. A good example is we purposefully keep it affordable, aggressively affordable. We actually probably the only drum corps that's dropped our fees every year. Our highest fees were $1,300, and we've cut them now down by, we're going to be $400 this year.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And that covers all of the out-of-state travel. In-state travel, members got to take care of, et cetera. But and that includes if assuming the pandemic's over, it includes a DCI tour for 3 days. So you're not going to get that. The other thing that we do is we don't rehearse out in the suburbs, or we're down in the city, we're down in your neighborhood. We're where the people are, and so
I definitely think that's amazing, because it's like, the people who, have trouble with finances, it's like that's helping them out. And then just not like the distance, if you can't sit here and go too far and stuff like that. Like, it's definitely, I see what you mean by the whole, like, him returning the favor and keeping it like that. Like, it literally is a living history.
Yeah, and it was interesting about it is, like, even with that, a lot of the people that are members, they don't live in those areas. Like, Mr. Cheatham says he doesn't care if you ride the bus to practice or you show up in a Porsche. Like, once you put your uniform on, you're a saint. And we have people that literally are like that that live in very nice areas. They're, they the different experience. But what we love is that we're bringing people together, right? The kid who lives in the projects now is friends with the kid who lives out in the suburbs, and they're playing Xbox together. They're Facebook friends. When he has a success, he's cheering him on Facebook. I see you, fam. Good job. And it brings people together. The other component is also that we like is that we work to make drum corps, winter guard, really anything attainable for people. A lot of people who may not be able to afford that world-class experience, or maybe can't take that whole summer off to go tour, or maybe doesn't have the money for the private lessons. We actually will take the time, and we do free group lessons for people.
That's pretty cool.
We kind of keep it going forward, and we send people to HBCUs still. We send people to Ohio State, OU, Berkeley. I mean, we got people everywhere. We got people that are marching Madison Scouts. We got a young girl who's one of the youngest soloists in Blue Stars history. Who's now
literally everybody.
Everybody, like, so. And the other thing we like about it is also we're taking people that otherwise really wouldn't go to the hilltop, that are actually there, and they're like, oh, this isn't that bad,
Right.
Or we go on tour, we go to Chicago, like we go to Chicago and we actually go back to the neighborhood where Mr. Cheatham's from.
Oh, that's amazing.
We go put on a concert, we put on clinics, we're there where everybody else drives around the city. We're like, no, we're going in.
Right, talking about reliving the history, for real, going back to the roots.
It was actually crazy. The community center in the neighborhood actually is named after the founder of the drum corps, so it's still it's a huge deal in the area. So
that's amazing.
We're out
it's
there.
Always so cool to have like the community, or even like if you like go to school or anything like that, and have like the school like backup marching arts, because it's not like that everywhere. There are a lot of places where marching arts are getting cut out of schools left and right, like especially now in this pandemic. Speaking of pandemic, how has COVID affected like you guys with like practices or anything like that? Are you guys still like 100%, or has everything been kind of like different with like doing things kind of virtually? Like, how's that?
So we made the decision when DCA and DCI ended their seasons earlier this year just to end our season. We felt with the way the state was going, with my personal experience in the military, and also like looking at what the DoD was doing, I was like, okay, look, the DOD they've stopped all movement for the whole summer. They're not doing ROTC. There's no way we're going to do anything this summer. And a lot of other people were very much like, I'm like, listen, if they're not doing ROTC, they did it during World War II. Like, we're not doing it. Like,
right. Like, if they ain't doing it during the war, then, we're not doing it now.
So we
of course,
see
it's all about safety too. You want to make sure that everybody can remain safe so that they can come back the next season, like, healthy and everything like that.
And so we basically ended operations. We ended the season in March. And so we actually, our first camp of the year is next year. We're, right back in the Hilltop, right, down in Columbus. We're partnering with a charter school like we've done in the past. And a lot of their students are going to be there. And essentially, we're going to do our open house, socially distanced, mask required. A lot of the kids are kind of used to it now, have marching band or see marching band. But we had to cease operations, and that also, and not just affected the Corps, but that affected all our community programs. Normally, we do like junior flag line during the summer, where we do 6 to 10 year old. We have those young girls and guys now. We ended our middle school drum line. We ended everything. So financially, it's fine for us. I mean, we're.
That's good. That's good that you guys don't have to worry about that, because money definitely can be a heartache when it comes to having to end stuff, because you're losing out on a season.